An unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely met with, even in 100,000 million kalpas. Having it to see and listen to, remember and accept, I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's teaching.
In
Thank you.
Buddhism, when Zen practitioners share their understandings of the teachings and practice, it's offered on the basis of dana paramita. Dana is a Pali word that means generosity or to give freely, and this is done without the expectation of anything in return when the opportunity rises. Those who share the teachings at Great Tree do so on a dana basis, so please support their practice by giving what you can. Genjo put his PayPal in the chat, so you can give directly to him, or he also has a tiny little basket at Great Tree. So if you're more of a cash person, you can also do it that way as well. Um, just give me 1 second. Sorry, just a moment. Okay, so sorry. Our speaker today is Reverend Genjo Tre Williams. Genjo is a student of Reverend Teijo Munnich in the Jikai Dainin Katagiri Roshi lineage of Soto Zen Buddhism. He started his practice in 2011. In 2023, Genjo ordained as a priest, and the following year practiced at Kotaiji and Toshoji Zen training monasteries in Japan. Um, Genjo served as shuso, or head of practice, at Great Tree Zen Women's Temple in 2025. Currently, he lives in Asheville, where he works as a counselor slash psychotherapist, practices aikido, and continues his practice with Great Tree and the Zen Center of Asheville. And the title of his talk, he will be doing this talk over the next 3 weeks, is Zen Meets Mental Health, Embracing the Three Minds.
Hey, thanks, Quinn. I'm assuming y'all can hear me okay. The kind of opening the sutra was our mic check, and I noticed we were all in sync with our
Well,
bows. Yeah, okay. And thank you, Quinn, for reminding folks about the paper and pencil and directing them to my PayPal. Yeah, the Dana, of course, goes to me supporting my life. But as Quinn mentioned, I am practicing psychotherapy and counseling, and part of my practice, I really believe that anyone who wants care and wants to do that work should have access to it. So, um, I offer it as much as I can. Um, just sliding scale options or giving folks I'm working with just the option to pay what they can. And so your donations help make that more and more accessible. So it's really a community practice. And I'm really grateful to be here. I'm sorry that I can't be at Great Tree in person this morning. I have a meeting at 11 in West Asheville with my Aikido dojo where I practice. And so I'm going to be late either way, but less late now that I'm here already in West Asheville. It's great to see so many people in the Zendo there. Thanks for holding it down. And to see some faces I haven't seen in a while on the screen, and to see some faces I get to see regularly. It's always a gift to be here with you all and to practice. Um, and grateful to our Anju-san. I called her and you know mentioned that I'd like to do this series of talks, and she said yes. So I really see this and grateful for y'all for listening and your engagement. I really see this as part of my own practice and development and unfolding as I'm walking in these various worlds that are the same but different, psychotherapy world, the priest world, the Buddhism world, the human world. And so your practice and engagement really helps me. Um, And hopefully it's been of benefit to all as well. I was just talking to a friend of mine, a yoga teacher who I used to work with, who um, runs Purna Yoga in West Asheville. And she's really incorporating a lot of neuroscience and neurobiology into her practice these days. And she's doing a lot of study, and she was talking about how the research shows that one of the best ways to learn is to teach. And so I'm getting to learn a lot, and hopefully you all will as well. But I'm personally benefiting, and may this practice and sharing be of benefit to you all and all beings. Um, I just want to frame this series of talks a little bit because it can be as big or as small as we make it, obviously. Zen and mental health, there's so many places we can go with this exploration. And so for me, I'm really approaching this from a practitioner's point of view, and really a practice point of view. And so we'll get to practice together. I'm not so much approaching it from an academic or theoretical or philosophical point of view. Of course, that I like that too, and that can be super beneficial to be looking at the ways that maybe Buddhism and psychology complement each other, the ways that they don't. Um, but this isn't so much of that. It's more practicing. Um, and so we're going to practice each weekend. We're going to practice with one of the three minds that is talked about in Dogen Zenji's Tenzo Kyokun, Instructions for the Cook. So Daishin, or magnanimous mind, big mind, is the one we're going to work with today. If you nerd out about this stuff and like the intellectual heady academic approach, just hit me up because I can nerd out about it with you. Um, I'm reading this book right now, The Handbook of Zen Mindfulness and Behavioral Health. That's super academic and interesting. It has a lot of different interesting chapters. Zen in psychotherapy, Zen in the body, Zen in koan, Zen in mental health. Shohaku Okumura Roshi has a chapter in here talking about his practice, and he talks about the three minds in it, which was one of the encouragements for this series of talks. But we could do, we could do anything. We could do Zen meets mental health. We're doing embracing the three minds. We could do embracing the four Brahma Viharas, embracing the six realms, embracing the noble eightfold path. Again, it could. This is just to kind of frame this a little bit more and give us some context and some give myself some focus. And so I'll be glancing down at my notes here and there too, just to keep myself on track. Um, before we really get into the practice bit, I want to just talk a little bit more about um, the lineages and traditions that I really work with in my psychotherapeutic work, and that inform my own practice and well-being in the world. Of course, Buddhism and Buddhist practice, I won't say much more about that. Well, I won't go so deep into that because we're all here practicing together and know the importance of the teachings and practices and how important it is to put them into our bodies and into our lives, and not just keep them up here, but really incorporate them and practice with them and experiment with them, experience them directly for ourselves. There's that stream, and then there's the stream of relational cultural theory. And so relational cultural theory um, was created by a group of women in the 70s and 80s. That's when it was first developed at Wellesley College up in Massachusetts. And these were mental health professionals, professors, psychiatrists, um, and in a way, it's a response to the male dominated kind of masculine, heavily overly masculine Western approach to psychotherapy. And I don't mean just men, but just kind of the qualities there. And so they really brought in this more archetypal feminine energy to our understanding of psychotherapy and well-being to balance it out. And so one of the foundational pieces to how we understand psychotherapy in the West is this idea of individuation. We grow towards becoming more and more of an independent individual, more and more of ourself. And these women and these practitioners of relational cultural theory say, yes, and we grow through and toward relationship. So we're actually relational beings and we're always yearning for connection with each other, for deeper connection with ourselves, connection to the world around us. Um, and one of the core pieces of this is this what they call the central relational paradox, which is at the same time that we are yearning for connection, we're desiring for connection and deep relationship with others, we have these defenses that we put up because we're deep connection requires vulnerability, emotional honesty. Um, it can be challenging, and so we have these defenses that are there to help protect us, and they can get in our way of well-being, of connection. Um, and some of these are conscious and some are unconscious. And so the work of in relational cultural theory is to grow our awareness and shed some light on our what are called our strategies of disconnection, the way we pull away from people and we kind of put this glass jar over ourselves that protects us. Nobody can touch us when we have this jar over us, literally and figuratively. And then, of course, nobody can touch us. We can't receive a real hug or some warmth. We can't also extend our hand. And so it's about gaining awareness about our strategies of disconnection and when is it safe to let go of this jar? It's not about eliminating strategies of disconnection in our lives because those are you know, fundamental to our well-being and safety, but about agency over them. And so they're no longer working behind the scenes, but we're choosing when can I lean in? When do I need to create some distance? Um, you know. Um, so there's that relational cultural theory stream. There's Jungian depth psychology. And so I'm just going to share some brief tenets because I'm a student of it myself. Period. I'm not gonna go. I'm not a teacher of Jungian depth psychology. I'm very much a student, but I'm getting trained in sand play therapy right now, which one of the informing traditions of sand play therapy is Jungian depth psychology, and another one of the streams. There are three streams: Jungian depth psychology, Lowenfeld play therapy, and Tibetan Buddhism, which is interesting. But some of the tenets I'll share are that we have an innate and natural tendency to heal, you know, um, and this innate and natural tendency towards healing gets activated when we are in a what's called a free and protected space, a space where we're just free to let anything come and let anything go, thinking about Zazen practice. And so the role of psychotherapy in that is for how I understand it and how I practice with it is for the therapist to create that container, that free and protected space where there's love, there is the freedom to creatively express, the freedom to play, there's compassion, and once we're in that container, the psyche naturally, the healing properties of the psyche naturally come forth. There's this concept of shadow work. And so these elements of ourselves that we've exiled naturally arise and get integrated. And so that we become more and more whole in the world. And the more whole we become inwardly, the more outwardly whole we become because there's no separation. And so I see the role as psychotherapy as until we can do that for ourselves, the psychotherapist is kind of holding that space, you know. And I think that for me, it's also a helpful kind of approach. I don't hold on to it, but coming into Zazen practice again, anything that needs to come comes, anything that needs to rise up, I don't. It's not about pushing anything, whether even if it's uncomfortable, an aspect of myself I don't want to see. Just let it come up because I'm in this free and protected space where everything's okay, you know. Um, a core, and again, in this Jungian depth psychology, there's this idea of the directing self, which is really the Buddha nature. We all have this Buddha nature, and to let that come forth is naturally healing. Um, so I'm gonna stop there. Those are the kind of the mainstreams. And then I'm just gonna share a little bit. I'm gonna read Dogen Zenji's words on magnanimous mind on Daishin, and then read some of what Okumura Roshi and Uchiyama Roshi have to say about it. And then we'll get more into the practice bit. And so this is from How to Cook Your Life, which is Uchiyama Roshi's commentary on the Tenzo Kyokun. But the part I'm going to read right now comes directly from the Tenzo Kyokun itself. So these are Dogen Zenji's writings. Dogen Zenji says, magnanimous mind is like a mountain, stable and impartial, exemplifying the ocean. It is tolerant and views everything from the broadest perspective. Having a magnanimous mind means being without prejudice and refusing to take sides. When carrying something that weighs an ounce, do not think of it as light. And likewise, when you have to carry 50 pounds, do not think of it as heavy. Do not get carried away by the sounds of spring, nor become heavy-hearted upon seeing the colors of fall. View the changes of the seasons as a whole, and weigh the relativeness of light and heavy from a broad perspective. It is then that you should write, understand, and study the character for magnanimous. And so this is Okumura Roshi's words talking about the three minds in general. He says the three minds, sanshin in Japanese, the three minds are the mental attitude that we need to maintain if we are aspiring to walk the path of a wholesome life without being pulled by dissatisfaction and competitive thinking. He describes Daishin, magnanimous or big mind, as the mind of non-discrimination, such as great mountains or the great ocean. Mountains are immovable and embrace different living beings. The great ocean accepts water from different rivers and simply becomes one ocean. Uchiyama says about Daishin, seeing the world without holding worldly values. He says it's not bypassing and it's not ignorance. Ignorance in this context means a willful, a choiceful choosing to ignore. Not just things that we don't know, but a choosing to look away from things, a choosing to ignore. He says, cease engaging in prejudiced, discriminative thinking, and to be resolved that whatever we meet is our life. We don't become inert. Everything we encounter is our life. Not to be swayed by the values of society, and to see the four seasons of favorable circumstances, adversity, despair, and exaltation all as the scenery of our life. And so those are just kind of getting in our head a little bit about what Daishin is, what magnanimous mind is. So we're going to put it into our bodies a little bit now and practice with it. And so everyone has their paper. Is that everyone got their paper? Cool. Yeah, sweet. So what we're gonna do is fold it in half, like I think we could say hamburger style. Fold it in half and then fold it in half again. So we're gonna fold it in half and then fold it in half again. So we've got kind of a greeting card. It opens. We've got a front, a back, and inside. Yeah, so the first bit here, on the front, on the front, I want you to write down words that describe yourself and how you present to the world. And you can also, if an image comes to mind, you can draw an image. And take your time with this. There will be time at the end to share if you want to. You don't have to. This can be just for you. This can be for us. This can be for someone else in your life. Um, you can burn it at the end of this. You can do a fire ritual with it and release it. You can put it on your altar and sit with it. So it's yours to do whatever you want to do with. But yeah, on the front, just take some time, write down or draw um, how you describe yourself or how you present to the world. And we'll just take a few minutes with that. Right. Let's just take another minute or so on this last bit. And you can always come back to it too, you know. Don't feel um, rushed or feel like um, there's an end point to any of this, a completion point. You can revisit this as much as you need to. Um, yeah. So for this next part, I'll ask that you think of a conflict or struggle that you're currently experiencing. And this can be an internal struggle, it can be an external struggle, struggle with someone in your life, struggle with yourself. it can be as small of a thing or as big of a thing as you want it to be. But just kind of give yourself permission to sit with that a little bit. Bring that to mind. Um, and if nothing comes to mind, teach us your ways. Let us know how you got there. Um, and so yeah, let this struggle come up, you know, feel it, think about it. And then what you're going to do is you're going to open our card so that we have a left and a right. And on the left side, write down your any kind of quote unquote negative experiences associated with this, challenging emotions, things that you maybe have a tendency to push away or don't want to experience. And if any symbols come to mind too, or an image, let that put that on the paper, you know. Um, Trusting in the power of whatever arises is meant to arise. And if it's a symbol, even if it doesn't quite, from a logical position, makes sense, trust the power of the symbol. So on the left, there's the negative associations, and then on the right side, write down, let whatever come up, feelings, whatever, positive associations. Maybe what are some positive qualities or energies, or an image or symbols that come to mind. Um, yeah. You have a question, Chris? Saw you unmuted.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So it's
Uh-huh.
about the struggle in our life, the pluses, the minuses, and the pluses.
Yep, you got it. Yep,
Thank,
left is the minuses, right is the pluses. Yeah.
thank you.
And it can be, if you have concrete words that come up, it can be words, it can be an image, it can be symbols, it can be a feeling, it can be physical sensations. Yeah. And then Linda, I see your hand is raised. You're welcome to unmute and
Yeah, thank you. Along what she just asked, I think you pretty much answered it. It doesn't have to be one particular um, challenge or whatever. It could be across. I think you would use conflict was the word that you used.
sure, sure. I think going back to Zazen, going back to Daishin, just let whatever comes up for you come up for you. Don't feel like there's a right way to do it, or that it has to be, in alignment with my instructions. But yeah, struggle or conflict, and whatever comes up, just let it come up. Yeah, don't think about it too much. One piece of all of this, um, is we're getting beyond concepts, beyond words. We're getting directly into sometimes the underlying, or we might talk about it as the unconscious energy of this stuff. And so it's not so much about a thinking, intellectual, logical approach. It's about letting whatever come. And if you're in a very intellectual head space with it too, that's fine. That's fine. But again, just let it come. Let it come. Take another minute or so, and then move on to the next piece. And if things come up as we're doing this exercise, and you think, oh, this belongs, something comes up, this belongs on the front page. Again, you can go back, or if you think of another kind of minus of the situation, you can put it down, or another plus. Let yourself, give yourself permission to be free, to move as you need to. So this next part, we had the front, and we just did the inside. We opened it up. We're gonna flip it over to the back. So close it up and flip it. And for this part, draw. This part is just symbols and drawing. Is there anything related to this conflict or struggle or situation that has been left unexpressed? Okay. So anything, what remains? And this part, yeah, just let the image come or let the symbol come. What has been left unexpressed? Let's bring it into expression. You know, bring it into the light. There's that famous quote by Carl Jung: one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, which I don't know, I might challenge him on that. But he says, but by making the darkness unconscious, you know. So it says the backward step that Dogen Zenji talks about, shining the light inward, illuminating the depths. All right, so let's take another little bit to wrap up, and I'll move us into this last part. And so we have our paper, we um, did the front, what words or images describe ourselves and how we present. We thought about our struggle and put the minuses and the pluses. We flipped it over to the back and expressed anything that had up till then been unexpressed. And so now we're going to open it up. We're going to open it up. And for this piece, I'm going to bring us back to Daishin. And so I'm going to read Dogen Zenji's words about his description of Daishin again. And then Uchiyama thinking about Uchiyama Roshi. We're going beyond discriminative thinking. What if this conflict wasn't actually a conflict? What if this struggle wasn't really a struggle? Can we embrace this as just part of our life? And so I'll read again Dogen Zenji's words here. He says, magnanimous mind is like a mountain, stable and impartial, exemplifying the ocean. It is tolerant and views everything from the broadest perspective. Having a magnanimous mind means being without prejudice and refusing to take sides. When carrying something that weighs an ounce, do not think of it as light. And likewise, when you have to carry 50 pounds, do not think of it as heavy. Do not get carried away by the sounds of spring, nor become heavy-hearted upon seeing the colors of fall. View the changes of the seasons as a whole, and weigh the relativeness of light and heavy from a broad perspective. It is then that you should write, understand, and study the character for magnanimous. And so for this, anything that comes up, let that be with you, and you can draw something, words might come to mind, symbol, just play with it. Just play with it. Let anything that comes come and put it to the paper. Get it out. Get it out. Let it come up. Put it into the world. Daishin, magnanimous mind, not.
So I'm sorry.
No,
We're,
no, go, please.
we're focusing on the struggle that we chose,
Mhm.
right?
Yes.
Okay. And
Yeah.
anything that just comes up when we look at the whole picture.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Like the mountain accepts all life as it is. Birds, trees, bacteria, fungi, poisonous, venomous snakes. It's just, it's just, yeah. What would it be like in our lives if this struggle was just, wasn't even a struggle, wasn't even a conflict? What would that look like? What would that feel like? What would it taste like? How would your life be different? Let's take another minute or so. Right. So thank you all for your practice and for this exercise, and for doing this experiment here this morning together. And yeah, we have a few minutes left. And so what's up for people? What if anybody wants to share anything, they can. You can show your image up to the screen or share, ask if there's questions, if there's comments. If anybody wants to share their experience or if anything's shifted for them, please, now's the time. Jodo, what's up?
Hey, buddy. I feel like I wrote a small book here and
Mhm.
could have used a much larger piece of paper. The thing I feel that kept coming up for me during this exercise was this dualistic type of nature where I would see things that were possibly negatives, and I had no shortage of those. But on the other side of the paper, I could see the positives or usefulness or more of the daishin. But yeah, thank you. This was very helpful. And
Mm.
I will translate my hieroglyphics into a more readable form this afternoon. So thank you. Thank you. And when I see you next time, we can nerd out together. I think that would be very wonderful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. And
Of
thank you for
course.
sharing what your intention is with your sheet. Again, like, yeah, let this do whatever you need to do with it. You might translate the hieroglyphics, as Joda said. You might just let it be. You might let the hieroglyphics be the hieroglyphics, and let them trust that they're working their own magic. Again, you might burn this paper. Let it go. Let it go. Recycle it, whatever. Yeah.
And Joe, something that came up for me was like, um, as I was reflecting on some of the negative experiences and the things I was writing on the Daishin side, a lot of it was focused around the perspective of like suffering kind of being the teacher. Like, man, I'm kind of grateful to have some things to teach me the Daishin kind of perspective. Because if I didn't have that suffering, I'm not sure I would have a reason to have a magnanimous mind about anything, you know?
hmm Yep, that's exactly right. Yep. Yep. Yep.
I really like the format that we use, so thank you for that. It feels like yeah, it felt like kind of like a closed like loop. Like it felt complete at the end, which is like a nice feeling. Not that it can't be done like over and over or in different ways, but there is something kind of like, yeah, that I really appreciated. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, sometimes this is called the Jungian greeting card. And so it comes out of the Jungian depth tradition. And so I can share the instructions with you if you want. I have a little document. My little twist I added was for that last part to really thinking about the Daishin perspective, but the rest has been passed down. Well, it's all been passed down. But yeah, please use it and share it.
Thank you, Genjo. Yeah, it was not hard for me to think of a person or situation. I've had a really difficult experience with a family member for years. And I have in the past used, because there have been times where I thought this would be over like pretty soon, and I thought I was at the Hillary step of climbing Mount Everest, which is like the very last part of the climb that's so difficult, but you're almost there. And a few years ago, I thought it was at the Hillary step. So obviously, I'm not really sure when I'm going to reach the top of the mountain or come back down. But the mountain, just having that perspective is really helpful. And then even just recently, having a shift in this experience and seeing it as, I've learned how smart and strong I really am from having to deal with this. And I don't know that I would have learned these things about myself without this experience. I'm not quite to the point where I can say I'm grateful for it, because it's been very painful and continues to happen. But I have learned a lot, and and I see like pain as pointing to what needs to be healed. So it's really given me an opportunity to heal a lot of things within myself as well. So when you asked us to draw a picture, I mean, I literally drew a mountain. I mean, that image was up. It was, kind of obvious. But when I put myself on the mountain, I didn't put myself like on the top. That's, where I'd like to be, but I kind of put myself on the side, near the top, and was thinking, well, if I look at it, I could interpret it as I'm still going up the mountain, or I've made it to the top and I'm coming back down, but I'm not, regardless, I have some perspective. And I think that magnanimous mind, having some perspective, especially when in a difficult situation, is really important.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I'm reminded of this was True Great Voice, Larry Ward, True Great Sound. Yeah, Peggy said that this really stuck. She shared this, that what he said was one time was you know, when there's love and understanding present, what naturally needs to heal will arise. It's that pain point. If we can cushion ourselves in a way with the compassion, that what naturally, yeah, the healing will come, and it can be painful. It can be painful. Yeah. Yeah. But ultimately, I trust that yeah, it's in our greater good, so to speak, the greater good of all beings. Yeah. Linda put into the chat, overlapping themes came up for me. Much appreciated, Genjo. Yeah, thank you, Linda. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for practicing.
Hello, everyone. If I could share briefly, my name's Jamie. It's good to see a familiar face, and nice to practice with the Sangha in my used to live in Asheville place. I'm now in Connecticut, and grateful for the invite from Brooke to be here today. And I loved also the mountain came up for me. And so I have this mountain with some things written in the mountain, and also this like kind of where that leads. And one of the things that I wrote that I wanted to share is what's in the way is the way. And that comes up, I use that like in IFS, practice, and just it highlights the relationship to my relationship to whatever the experience is, right? That is the way, that is the practice right there. And for me, moving through this has helped me see that there's just like fear. It's just fear that constricts. It's those protective parts. It's insecurity. And that comes from a place of like heartfulness, of not wanting to cause harm. And when I can look from that broader perspective and see that there's space for all, and to allow things to unfold, which comes back again to like what's in the way is the way. And it always seems like for me, it comes back to like ease and release and trust and like slowing down and present and opening up. And then just the struggle kind of drops away every time I practice that. So thank you for the reminders in this exercise.
Thank you for sharing. I couldn't see super well, but it almost looked like a spiral there. That's what it looked like to me that you had written. And I'm kind of what Brooke, what you were saying about the mountain, you think it's the top, but it's not the top. And this idea of this, I think sometimes like the cyclical nature of things of like, well, I'm back here again. Like I thought we were off this track and now I'm back. But if you shift the perspective and add some depth to it, that circling is actually can be a spiraling. You know, things are shifting.
Through all that you shared with us and all that everyone else has shared. Hi.
Hi.
Exclamation point. Hi.
Yeah.
And a couple observations briefly. The end here is turning that light inward to the mountain. Echo Hinsho. Start there for us. And I wrote something that was, and then you shared a couple thoughts. Just is just this. And I couldn't stop smiling all the time, laughing a little bit. Yeah. That's enough for now. But thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like we're at time, y'all. But yeah, keep playing with this, you know, too. That's another important part of the practice is I don't know if y'all heard that. That's my bell. It's time. Important part of the practice is to just play, right? This mind. Anji-san talks about Dogen Zenji, his one description of Zazen as yuge, transformation through free play. Can we bring even and especially perhaps in the midst of like real heaviness or real struggle, real heartache, real pain, can we play? Can we find the play? No. Okay, so we'll give back the merit and I'll ask Quinn to read some announcements. May the merit of this practice
May the merit of this practice
benefit all beings
benefit all beings
and bring peace.
and bring peace. Okay, a couple of announcements. Tomorrow is family meditation, so that could be you could come in person or on Zoom. Memo, what's the theme?
The fire horse.
The fire horse, year of the fire horse, right? The Lunar New Year was last week. So, yes, so anyone is welcome. That starts at 10:30 tomorrow. The speaker next weekend again is Genjo. We'll be continuing this for another 2 weeks, so please come back, invite your friends if you liked what you did today. And then if you're interested in receiving the precepts this spring in May, the signing up for the sewing retreat, which is part of that process, that closes next Friday, the 27th. So if you're interested in receiving the precepts, please get in contact with me at info@greattreetemple.org before next Friday so I can get you signed up. I think that's it.
Thanks.
Thank you, buddy.
Yeah.
Thank you.